Hello and welcome to New Frontiers on CCTV International. I'm Ji Xiaojun in Beijing. And today we're taking you once again to the most sacred sanctuary of Taoism, the beautiful Wudang Mountains in the northwest of Hubei province. But first, let me take you back in time to the early spring of 1552. In Beijing's Forbidden City, the mood at the Ming Imperial Court was anything but spring-like. News had arrived that both the northern border and the southeast coast were under enemy attack. Clearly, it was incumbent on the emperor to act in the face of what was evidently a very grave situation. Well, what he did was to order the construction of a stone memorial archway on a northern slope in the Wudang Mountains. It was inscribed with 4 characters, 治世玄乐, written by Emperor Jiajing himself. The meaning is relying on the power of the Wudang god Xuanwu. In fact, this was not the first time that Emperor Jiajing had turned to the Wudang Mountains and the god Xuanwu for help.
Even today, historians are still debating this question. Why did Emperor Jiajing cherish such a special fondness for Mount Wudang? In August of the year 1507, the city of Anlu in Hubei province was filled with the sweet scent of osmanthus flowers. For a very special reason, the mansion of Prince Xingxian was brimming with happiness and auspiciousness. A baby boy was about to be born. That night, the Prince of Hubei had a dream.
梦见传人真人到他们家来，他家会降生一个很了不起的孩子，将来会出现，这是一种预兆吧。
Upon receiving advice from the Taoist master, the Prince of Hubei named his son Zhu Houzong. He had already had a son and 2 daughters, but they had all died young. Now he was of the belief that his new baby boy was the incarnation of the veritable Yuan You.
朱厚熜信道，跟他的父亲有关系，他的父亲就信道。 他的父亲被封为亲王，在湖北安陆，他的父亲信道，朱厚熜从小就受他父亲影响，就相信道教，所以他把这种信仰就带到了后来他做皇帝以后的宫廷，这是最根本的原因。
As Zhu Houzong was the only child in the imperial family, he was spoiled and often sick. To seek a blessing for the boy, once a year the Prince of Hubei worshipped Xuanwu, the god of Mount Wudang. His son always accompanied him on these pilgrimages. And so it was that the boy Zhu Houzong gradually developed a special feeling for the deity Xuanwu. During the Ming dynasty, all the emperors made Mount Wudang the imperial family temple, and there they worshipped the god Xuanwu, whom they designated the Taoist guardian of the country. During the reign of Zhu Di, or Emperor Chengzu, the temple halls of Mount Wudang underwent a period of thorough renovation, and the court's worship of the god Xuanwu became stronger than ever.
武当山号称道教第一名山。 他是中国道教的中心，而他小的时候就生活在这个附近。他的父亲又信奉道教，我想他如果崇奉道教的话，一定武当山在他的灵魂当中影响是非常深的。
In May of the year 1521, Zhu Houzong came to the throne, and he took Jiajing as the title of his reign. With fate now in his favor, Zhu Houzong, or Emperor Jiajing, fully believed he owed everything to the god Xuanwu. In the first 3 years of his reign, whenever he encountered problems, Emperor Jiajing turned to the god Xuanwu for blessings and assistance. And indeed, the big ritual event ended with the emperor emerging victorious. With all power now in his own hands, Emperor Jiajing began to tackle the second problem that worried him. Most of the previous Ming emperors had died young and childless. He certainly did not want to end up in the same situation. At stake was the stability of Ming rule. Emperor Zhengde had died at the age of 31, leaving no son to take over the throne, and this was how Zhu Houzong had become his successor. The new emperor looked upon this as a bad omen. Emperor Jiajing had been on the throne for 5 years, but he still had no child. What would happen if he died young with no son to be his successor? He sought help from the god of Mount Wudang, the god Xuanwu.
他是怎么来当皇帝的？就是因为他的堂兄没有子嗣，他才当了，得以外藩入籍做了皇帝。如果他要没有，那么面临的结果就跟他的那个的堂兄是一样的。这个对他来说是很恐怖的事情。 因为别人也会要重立自己的体系，那么他辛辛苦苦的去跟诸臣去争斗，去想这个尊本生父、本生母，做大礼义，这些所有的这个争斗就付之东流了。
Zixiao Palace on Mount Wudang sits among eerily shaped peaks. The Taoist masters who reside in the hall are highly esteemed for their mastery of sacred rituals. Today, a particularly important ritual is to be performed, and the Taoist masters are busy preparing for it. To better communicate with the heavenly deities, Taoists eat vegetarian food and take regular baths. In their eyes, only by doing away with mundane thoughts and playing beautiful music can they move the deities and invite them to dispel evils and grant blessings. Dressed in their traditional robes of gold and silver thread and carrying various kinds of musical instruments, the Taoists sing ancient songs and dance, and they do so in much the same way as their predecessors would have done during the Ming Dynasty hundreds of years ago. In February of the year 1526, a highly important ritual was performed in Jingle Hall on Mount Wudang for 7 nights in a row. Emperor Jiajing was seeking the assistance of the deities so that he might be blessed with a son.
According to historical records, similar rituals were performed in the Wudang Mountains at least 10 times on the orders of Emperor Jiajing and his queen and concubines. It would take 7 years, but their prayers were eventually answered.
As it happened, in the 7th year of his reign, Emperor Jiajing finally had a son. Such was his gratitude that he became the second Ming emperor who could be termed fanatical in his devotion to the worship of the god Xuanwu, the first having been Emperor Yongle. Emperor Jiajing remained on the throne for 45 years, and in that time he issued no less than 140 imperial decrees regarding Mount Wudang. In fact, he issued more decrees than any other Ming dynasty emperor. The Ming Emperor's love of Mount Wudang is perhaps best manifested in Lingguan Hall on Golden Summit. 7 stone tablets have stood on the peak for hundreds of years, each of them erected for a new emperor, upon his accession to the throne. Ever since Emperor Yongle ordered a thorough restoration of Mount Wudang's sacred buildings, the god Xuanwu had been worshipped as the Taoist guardian of the country. Upon their accession to the throne, each new emperor followed the example of his predecessor and sent court officials to worship Xuanwu at Mount Wudang, expressing thanks to the gods for their blessings. In the approximately 100 years from the time of Emperor Yongle to that of Emperor Jiajian, various emperors presented holy objects to the imperial temple, such as statues of Taoist masters and sacrificial objects.
哇，小赵，你今天早上来这么早呀？
刚刚到啊。
啊，刚刚到，来的游客多不？
都是很多。
啊。
Wang Piang was born and brought up in the Wudang area. She's been running a snapshot stand at Nanyang for more years than she cares to remember.
啊，各位游客朋友，你们好！需要照相留影，为你们拍张照做纪念啊！我们2分钟把照片给打出来了，数码快照啊！请看这道风景呢，这就是武当山最有代表作的景，能代表你们到此游的啊！登武当山先生得寿富康宁嘛，就是人生追求的最高境界。4个字啊，登武当山先生得寿富康宁，这就是人生追求的最高境界啊！武当山最精华的地方就是这个地方南岩宫，你们需要照相的朋友可以对面照一张，我们2分钟快照快取的数码快照啊！啊，你们哎，2位美女还是？
电影在哪里啊？
往这边来一点点，往这边来一点点。哎哎，对对对，可以啊。对，穿蓝衣服的小帅哥往这边来一点。哎，对，很不错的啊，那哎，好嘞。啊，看看。行，祝愿你们登武当山先生享寿福康宁啊！啊，咱们洗照片去吧。
我来的时候你们可以在这边照相吗？不照康宁的时候，你们可以在。
我们看到南岸上福寿康宁这4个字啊，实际上是道教里面是最重要的一种这个咒语。应该它有5条：福寿康宁考中命，就说人一生